Welcome back to the channel. Today we're taking a look at the Mooncool TK1 electric fat tire tricycle. We're going to unbox it and assemble it in this video. We'll test ride and review it in a separate video. And if you're interested in this bike, there'll be links in the description for you to purchase your own. Let's not waste any more time and let's get into it. Let's unbox the TK1 fat tire tricycle by Mooncool, a new way to explore your city. Go ahead and release the top. There you go. Okay, double boxed with staples. Let's get into the second layer. And our first look inside the box. Let's back it off a little bit here. Looks like we got a bike rack there. Okay, definitely looks like they have a lot of bubble wrap and zip ties. I'm sure this is some parts and accessories in here. Let's cut the front of this box open. We'll pull everything out and we'll go ahead and get started. Go ahead and cut through the second layer. Okay, folks, let's do this the easy way instead of the hard way. We'll go ahead and get rid of our box. It looks like we're gonna have some manual assembly with this one. Let's see what we got in here. It's a sharp looking seat. That's a really nice looking color actually. Looks like we got a lot of bubble wrap. Pull that back and expose those zip ties. Well, at least we know it's not going to get scratched up. These are handlebars. Let's go ahead and pop off some of these zip ties. Here. Get rid of them. Free ride front fork. Mooncool. Foldable neck. That's nice. So what came in the accessories box was our owner's manual, which is full color. Our pedals, left and right. Our charger with cord. 3 reflectors for 3 tires. Integrated light. Couple of end caps, probably go on the tires. So we have a little packet of tools here, which include wrenches, Allen wrenches, and a screwdriver. These look like they're going to be reflectors for the back tires. We'll have to put our seat with seat posts together. And then it looks like we're going to actually have to put the derailleur together on this bike. It's a Shimano tourney. And the chain as well. So here's everything that came in the box. It looks like this assembly is going to be a little bit more detailed, but we'll go through it and show you step by step how this bike gets assembled. So first step is to attach the rear derailleur to the rear axle. Let's go ahead and prop it up with a piece of styrofoam here. So you're going to use the screw here and screw it right in just like this. So we're going to go ahead and line it up. Show you what it looks like from the other side. So we're going to want to get it all lined up right here. Go ahead and start tightening it down. Take your time with it. You want to make sure you're getting everything lined up nice. And our first step is our derailleur. So next thing we're going to do is assemble the rear tires on the rear axle. We don't want to bend our rotor or knock our brakes out of adjustment, so I'm using a piece of styrofoam that I took out of the box, and that's working out really well. So the shape on the tires is going to indicate which axle the tire is going to go onto. And also the axle is labeled left or right. So on the right side, you're just going to have a washer and a nut. And we'll go ahead and pull that out just like that. We're going to put our tire on and we're going to line it up. You can see the shape here. So we'll go ahead and get that lined up. Just like that. Now we want to put our washer on. And to get this nut off, because it really is difficult sometimes, it may be easier just to put it on by hand and then get in there with something and pry the cap off so that it comes off, because you really want to tighten down this nut You don't want to just do it by hand. And if you have a bigger wrench, you might want to take it out. We're just going to use the one that's supplied to us for now. Once you have that down nice and snug, then you'll go ahead and reattach that end cap. And then we'll go ahead and do the other side. Looks like our left side is also going to have a spacer on it. So let's go ahead and take the hardware off. So these tires look like they're directional. So we want the thread pattern coming in the same direction. And the first thing we want to do is get that spacer back on there. And we'll go ahead and slide that through the axle. We'll go ahead and get that washer on. We'll get our nut started. Again, we want this cap off. So I find it much easier to kind of get in there with the Allen wrench and pull that cap off just like that. We'll go ahead and tighten this down nice. Now if you have a bigger wrench set, you might want to pull it out, make your job a little bit easier. Once that's tightened down, we'll go ahead and put our cap back on it. There you have it. The tires are on the rear axle, left and right. Let's go ahead and attach the rear axle to the bike now. Let's go ahead and remove this. This is just for packing. This helps keep the frame straight during shipping. So we'll just go ahead and get rid of that. Okay, this also was placed on the axle for shipping only, so we'll go ahead and remove that as well and get rid of it. We're going to want to connect the rear axle to the rear frame. For this, what I'm going to do is use that same piece of styrofoam, kind of stand it up here so that we can line up our axle to the frame here. What I'm going to do to make it a little easier on myself is I'm going to back out the nut, screw, and washer here and put them aside, just so I'm not fighting two different fittings at the same time. And then we'll go ahead and remove the nut and washer on this side as well. What I'm going to do here is move these brake wires out of the way and come right in, get it all lined up here just like that. That slid into place pretty easy. Now what we're going to do is take the nut bolts and washers that we took off and get them lined up here in this other slot. They're only going to go in one way. The nut faces the outside. Get that washer and nut on the other side as well. So you want to make sure all the screws are tightened down nice and snug on both sides. So our next step is going to be assembling the chain, and we're going to need some gloves for that because it is greasy. Let's go ahead and untangle it. So the first thing I'm going to do is just kind of lay the chain over the freewheel and figure out its path. We're going to want to run the chain through our derailleur just like this. What we're going to do is we're going to take this link and attach it to the chain. This is called a magic buckle, according to the book. We're going to stick one on this side of the chain and one on this side of the chain. You just want to make sure that you have your chain feeding through the correct way it needs to go through the frame of the bike so that you don't have a problem afterwards. Go ahead and put one side in here, the other side through here. Snap them on there like magic. What we're going to want to do is install the rear reflectors on each of the fenders. So we had our bag of parts here. Those are going to attach just like this. Let's go ahead and get started. We'll go ahead and back the nut off of each of these. We'll take our fender. The way this is going to work is we're going to attach the reflector just like this. Flip over the other side here. Little tab comes out, and then we're going to go ahead and put our nut right on here. Perfect. It's going to look just like that. Let's do the other side. Same thing. Just like that. We'll go ahead and tighten this one down as well. And make sure it's nice and snug. There's our second reflector mounted on the fender. Okay, so let's assemble that rear fender. So we want that nice smooth piece to butt up right here to the inside. So we'll go ahead and feed our first one through just like this. Washer and our nut on. And we can go ahead and get these all tightened down. Right fender assembled. Let's go ahead and do the left side. First, we'll go ahead and back the screws out that are on here. So this is the left fender. You can really only put them on one way, and we want to line it up again so that the fender is to the inside. We'll go ahead and feed our first screw through. I find it easier to get the first one started just by putting the screw on the end here, finding the hole, and just sliding it through. We'll go ahead and put a washer nut on this side. And now we'll go ahead and get the other screw started. Just gotta maneuver it till you get it in there. Just like that. Go ahead and tighten this side down as well. Now we can kind of adjust how far back we want that fender to go and make them nice and snug. So you have some flexibility if you needed to pull it away a little bit. That's always an option. But yeah, there you have it. Fenders assembled. Next, let's assemble the handlebars. First thing we'll do is we'll lift up the handlebar lock and latch it shut just like that. Now we'll go ahead and pick up our handlebars. Make sure that they're going the right direction. There's a groove in the tube and on the handlebar stem, and it's just going to slide in one way. We'll go ahead and adjust our handlebars about right there and latch it closed. We're going to go ahead and tighten them right here, and that's going to keep them from turning from side to side. We have them kind of lined up by eye. Now we'll go ahead and tighten them down right here with these two screws and our supplied Allen wrench. Okay, that's pretty snug. Okay, the next thing we're going to do is attach the rear brake cable. Make sure that your rear brake is attached correctly up here at the handle. So if you press down, you can see that the little barrel end is in there and it won't pull out. So we'll go ahead now and attach the brake at the other end, and we're going to go ahead and attach it and feed it through and attach it to the rear brake. Let's go ahead and do that. We're going to have to feed it through the end of the brake here, so we'll just go ahead and feed it through like that. Pick up the slack. We're going to want to loosen this screw so that we can feed it through the rest of the way. So all we did is come up through here, loosen that up a little bit more. So now that that's loosened up, we're going to go ahead and feed it through. Just let all that excess stick out. We'll press down on that rear brake, pull the slack back and tighten it down. The next thing we're going to do is assemble the shifter cable. First thing you want to do is pick up the slack. And you want to make sure that you're in speed 7. And then we'll come down here. And you want to make sure that your chain is on the smallest freewheel, just like that. So the wire is going to feed right through here first, and then it's going to come through here as well. Just like that. We're just going to feed this through here. So now that's going to tuck in here. Come down here and show you what's going on. So it's coming through here, then it's going to catch it with that nut. So that's the path it takes. Now we're going to go ahead and tighten the nut down and secure it. Simple as that. Next thing we're going to do is assemble our pedals left and right. Remember, you're always going to want to make sure you put the left pedal on the left side and the right pedal on the right side. because you could cross thread them. So you're gonna have plastic pedals with reflectors. And you can see here at the bottom of each pedal will say L or R, and the crank arm is also labeled R. So it's really difficult to make a mistake. You really can turn it by hand most of the way, and then just take your wrench, tighten it down the rest. Make sure it's nice and snug. Then we'll do the other side. I'm gonna go ahead and get them started by hand. They do have grease on the pedals, which is nice. We'll go ahead and tighten it down the rest of the way. And then you want to make sure that they're nice and snug. That's it. Both pedals assembled. Let's install the front basket. We're going to remove all 4 screws. So our basket's going to get attached just like this. We'll go ahead and get it started by hand first. Get a couple screws in place. Really simple to attach the basket here. We're just using the 4 screws and washers that were already pre-attached to the bike first. And it's as simple as that, folks. The front basket is attached. It's a nice heavy metal and it has Mooncool stamped on the front. Let's go ahead and attach our front light now. Looks like it's going to be really simple. Just going to line it up here. Get a close-up shot. Go ahead and hand tighten it a little bit. Grab onto that with our pliers. Just tighten it a little bit, get it in position. Line the light up where we want it. Tighten it down, make it nice and snug. And we'll go ahead and plug in the light. It's only going to go in one way. There's a little notch there, and you can see it on here as well. You're just going to want to line them up and snap it in there, just like that. We'll go ahead and tuck that up somewhere afterwards. So now we're going to go ahead and assemble the rear basket. First off, we're just going to put a piece of styrofoam down and drop our base down. The basket needs to be assembled. It's in 5 pieces, but that's going to be the base. We're going to have the back of the basket and the front of the basket, and they're different heights, which means the back of the basket's going to be a little bit higher on one end. And then we have our 2 sides, and you can see they're slanted. But let's go ahead and start with the back side of the basket first. Drop it right in those 2 little holes. And I have the bike back here, so I'm just going to kind of rest it on there to hold it up. And then we'll take the front of the basket and one of our sides, and we'll go ahead and do the same thing here. Just going to drop them right in there, just like that. And then we're going to take this side here and drop them right into the holes, just like that. Rest them right into position. Drop this back side on. Perfect. And then we have these parts here that came with the basket as well. This is what's going to hold the basket down. These 2 rods. And then these pieces here are basically going to wrap around the basket to hold it in place. These things are really sharp and they're kind of hard to work with, honestly. You may want to use them because that's what it shows in the book, but I think I'm going to actually use either zip ties or something else to fasten this together. I think zip ties are going to be my best friend on this one, so I am going to use zip ties to hold this in place. So what we're going to do is anywhere where there is a metal sheet, we're going to go ahead and put a zip tie. We'll do this all the way around the basket. So we're basically just dropping zip ties everywhere there would have been one of those straps. Zip ties are so cheap and I use them for everything. Anytime I have my bag with me, I always have some zip ties because you never know when you're going to need them. Look at that. Look how nice that is. Rear basket assembled. We'll go ahead and put it on the bike. And we have these brackets to place in here just like that. So you're going to have the screws and washers. They're just going to go ahead and slide right in here. We'll put the nut underneath and tighten them down. And it's pretty easy setup here. Take my nut and washer. I'm going to come underneath here. And we just want to make sure that they're all tightened down nice and evenly. And the rear basket is assembled. Simple as that. One thing to take note of, the battery does come separate, so keep that in mind. I had to wait a few days to receive the battery after I received the bike, but it actually gave me a chance to put it together, so that wasn't a problem for me. So we'll go ahead and slide the battery on there. Just like that. Lock it into place. Okay, the next thing we're gonna do is attach our seat post to our seat. And this seat has a backrest on it. Okay, so we're gonna unscrew this so it's just about coming off, right? So you can see that we've almost backed it off completely. You want this little jog to be facing the back of the seat. So where the rails open up back here, you want this little jog. So we're gonna kind of rest it in here. Looking good. And we just wanna twist this way, perfect. So now we can just tighten it down and we don't have to remove the screws all the way. So let's go ahead and do that. Let's get it a little tighter so it can't fall off. So once we get it tightened up a little bit, you can see that you'll have an adjustment here. You can pitch the seat a different direction. You can slide it forward or backwards depending on your comfort level while riding. Okay, so now we're gonna take our seat and slide it right down into the tube here, and we'll go ahead and latch it shut. Just like that. The seat is assembled. Okay, that's gonna wrap this one up for the assembly video of the Mooncool TK1 FAT tire tricycle. Make sure you check over every nut, bolt, and screw, even if it wasn't part of the assembly today, to make sure that you're riding safe. So keep a lookout for our test ride and review video. And if you're interested in this bike, there'll be links in the description. So like always, ride safe, have fun. See ya.